When inmates die in jail or prison. There's been some talk about that on social media. Who gets the blame when the inmates die in jail or prison? Well, historically, the finger is always pointed at prison management when an inmate dies. But I'm here to tell you folks, I'm here to give you a news flash. That is not the case in the majority of the inmate deaths. I'll grant that on some cases there is negligence and there's mismanagement and there may even be corruption. I've investigated those, so I'm not going to say those things don't happen, but you've got it all wrong, most of you, when you immediately turn and say, another inmate died at such and such place. Management again, management messed up again. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not always the officers or the management. We're going to talk about the way inmates die in jail and prison. And the majority of the ways they die is nothing to do with the correctional officers or prison management. Hi, I'm Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe if you like this video. Number one, I have a news flash. Inmates die in jail or prison. I'm going to start with the jail because that's our first step into the system. Inmates come off the street many times, high as a kite on drugs, and they're booked into the county jail, right? And a day or two later, they're found dead. Not because of an officer, not because of jail management, but because of the drugs they had in their system that they brought in with them from the street, and they died from it. Some come into the jail, and because of not only drugs and alcohol, they get hyped up because they've been arrested, their blood pressure goes sky high, they have heart attacks, okay? And they die. Some inmates in jail get sent to their housing unit after being booked in, and they are killed by another inmate for whatever reason. They don't like their looks, something's wrong, they recognize them from another gang on the street, and they kill them. Officers did their checks, right? We check, we investigate. If officers did their checks according to the policies and procedures, and the cameras in the dorms don't indicate that officers did anything wrong, it's not the management's fault, it's not the officer's fault. Inmates do this to each other, folks. They will kill each other. Surprise, surprise. Also, when inmates go off to prison, now, this is where they really stay a long time. Most of them, obviously, they're sentenced to a year or more, but many of them are spending a lot of years there. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, life in prison. You don't think they're going to die in prison if they're spending that much time? Some of them go to prison at age 60 for 20 years. They don't make it, folks. They die of natural causes. They die of old age. That happens out here on the street. Are we going to blame the prison management because they died? 85-year-old inmate dies. Oh, the management. Oh, it's the officers. It's the management again. No, folks, it's old age. Just get your local newspaper. People are dying in their 40s and 50s and 60s, okay? It happens in prison. They die there. That's the place they were sent to. They either pled guilty for doing something wrong or a jury of their peers found them guilty. And now this is where they live. This is their home. People die in their homes, folks, of natural causes. How else do they die in prison? Well, drug smuggling is huge in the prison system. Fentanyl is huge right now across the country. Fentanyl overdose, pills being brought in, smuggled in, the little blue pills, and they're not legitimate. They're laced with things that they're not supposed to be laced with. And inmates are dying from drug overdoses. Management and officers have random cell searches. They screen mail. They copy mail and send the copy in now, and not the original in most places, so that inmates can't get laced papers laced with drugs. That was another way they were dying. Prison, just like jail, other inmates kill other inmates. I've investigated inmate on inmate homicides more than once, 3 times actually, in Florida State Prison System. Okay? I have investigated where staff were indicted for beating an inmate and he died. Okay, that happens. I told you at the beginning of the video, I won't sugarcoat anything. We do get some of those cases now, but the majority of people, the first thing that comes to their mind when an inmate dies in a jail or prison, it's the management's fault. It's the officer's fault. And that's far from the truth. Very few cases are their fault. There's so many ways they die. Another way inmates die in prison is when they are sentenced to death in a court of law and they are on death row and they are executed. Alabama today is supposed to execute someone. I don't know if it happened. I think it was set for 6 p.m. I don't know if it's been delayed. I'll have to check. Probably going to do a video on that after it happens. But that's another way they die in prison, obviously. If they're sentenced to death and they're executed. Okay. That is at the... that's because the criminal justice system has taken its course and a jury or judge has ordered or deemed that they need to receive the death penalty, okay? I just think that people need to stop jumping to conclusions. And the minute, I'll look at something, an inmate dies in a jail or prison, and I'll be going through my social media, and it hasn't even been new news yet. It's just barely out for an hour or two, and people are already, it's the corrupt system. It's the criminal justice system. These inmates are dying. Well, 30 inmates die at one place in 2 years, right? Maybe 1 or 2 of them could have been prevented. Maybe more, I don't know. But the majority, it happens, folks. Unfortunately, it happens. It can happen to me right here, right now in my home. I could die of a heart attack. I won't die of an overdose of drugs because I don't live that lifestyle. Okay? I won't die, hopefully, of a gang member coming to kill me because I'm not involved with the gangs. Doesn't mean I won't get hurt, because they hurt a lot of innocent people as well. But it could happen. But I'm trying to get a point across here of the ways inmates die in jail or prison. And the finger pointing has to stop. You must have a fair and impartial investigation conducted. And until that investigation is conducted and the facts of the investigation are released and evidence proves how the inmate died, withhold your accusations against prison management. And even after I talk about this today, there's going to be people comment on here or somewhere where I post this video. We don't give a damn what you say. We know it's the prison management. If that's the way you feel, you're never going to understand, because you won't stop to think. You won't stop to learn how inmates die in prison. Okay? It's not always the fault of the officers or the management or the criminal justice system, folks. Stop and think about that for a while, okay? Thank you for watching. Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.